Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, the stars aligned and we got to play some All for One Regime Diabolique last night. Got to use these funny dice. Love these ubiquity dice. And the video is up on Anthony's channel, on Runeslinger's channel. And we didn't broadcast it live because he'd heard there were might be some issues with Hangouts. So it's up there now. So we didn't actually have people watching live. We had a blast. And so as is our custom now. We're doing little recap videos, and I believe that I already saw Francois, which is hysterical. The guy's a wizard. He was playing his character and doing the recap videos afterwards. Just a blast to play with and a privilege. They're all great to play with. But anyhow, it's funny because this question or this video is actually going to answer one of the alternate questions for RPG A Day 2017, which I didn't think I was going to be able to answer, and that was describe a moment of wonder that arose in play. And I looked at that question a few times thinking, I really don't have anything that really stands out. One of those oh wow moments. And probably just because enough time has elapsed between the oh wow moment and now that it's not so oh wow anymore. But, so I'll get to that. The game itself, I'm probably not going to give you the whole recap, but we start out really, it was really great. We start out with a chase scene. We're already chasing somebody. We're in the Louvre. We start out, and we, true to form, we all do our own little musketeer shtick. So Briscoe is already, trying to intimidate the person to get them to stop. And he's not intimidating in a scary way. He just has such incredible charisma that whatever comes out of his mouth. People listen, people stop, people people take account of what he says. So he's trying that. I'm doing the more musketeer jump and swinging from the chandelier, and it was great little scene with that. And we're breaking stuff. And Jean-Marie is just a bad initiative roll, but he's bringing up the rear, and he's surly, and he finally ends up almost shooting the banister, and then finally puts a shot right up in the air and breaks part of the ceiling, painted ceiling in the king's palace, because he alerts everybody to the fact that there's other spies. Some of the people that were dressed as musketeers were not in fact musketeers. However, I want to go more into what actually happened with my character and talk about their characters as well. There's a couple things happened that haven't happened in the game so far. One, we split the party. We split the party, I believe, twice. In both cases, my character was not with Briscoe, so I did not have a chance. Philippe and Briscoe did not interact as much as I would like. The interactions that I had mostly focused on interactions with Jean-Marie. A little bit with Briscoe, but Briscoe is such a larger-than-life David Lee Roth character. When he's in the room, you know it, and he tends to shine very brightly. And so sometimes the interactions, I don't want to say they get pushed to the side because they do not, but he is just a large, Francois is a wizard with that character. He really is, and it's always a pleasure. It was actually a really good, I think the role-playing prize, not that there's a prize, it probably goes to Sebastian, to Null Inquisitor, for his portrayal of Jean-Marie. And Jean-Marie is one of those characters, I said this to him, and he assured me it wasn't quite like that. But I remember reading or hearing something about playing the Joker, and I think it might have been Jack Nicholson warning the person that played the Joker next, I believe, had some misfortune, accident, or whatever. He died shortly thereafter. And Jack Nicholson, and I don't know the details, so I'm probably getting it wrong, and somebody will tell me what it was. It doesn't really matter. He's saying, watch out for playing that character. That character really kind of sucks the life out of you. It's a very dark character, and it can be really hard. And so just watching Jean-Marie, come out of Sebastian, I always think to myself, man, that's got to be a really draining character to play. So, and we were joking around afterwards after we cut off the broadcast, or cut off the recording, that sometimes it drains the life out of the people around him. I'm not saying he's a bad character. That's not at all. But he's a very serious, dark, brooding character. And Sebastian played him to the hilt, and it was awesome. The game was probably one of the heavier ones for me in terms of how it felt. And I quipped to Anthony this morning. I didn't get very much sleep at all last night. I was kind of jazzed after the game because the game was great. But this morning as I woke up and I'm drinking my coffee at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:45 in the morning, that I'm kind of coming to because I get up early. I was thinking to myself, man, that's one of the darker, heavier feeling games for me. And it felt like, for me, a bunch of times, kind of like launching from the starting line of a drag race at full speed and hitting a brick wall. Not once, but 3 times. Probably 4 if I think about it. And, so what happened with my character? There was a bunch of times when, Philippe is this guy that is just, he has 2 speeds. Idling at the starting line and, putting the nitrous on and flooring it. And that's just how he lives life. Philippe is a young guy. He's, his flaws are curiosity and being the thrill seeker. He's young. He's about like 20, 21 years old. His motivation is fame or to matter, and they all kind of work synergistically with each other. That's not what I was thinking when I was creating the character, but he acts like a typical, very impulsive, very highly emotionally charged, and leap before you look, young man, and he's very talented, and so he ends up accosting this person who turns out to be a woman. So it starts to get interesting. I wonder what's going on. And right there, I fail to disarm her. We're slipping on the floor. It's a great musketeer-y scene. Everything is kind of going according to normal musketeer pulp, like and heroics and just larger-than-life stuff. And she takes her daggers, flips them around, and thrusts them into her own heart and says, "For France," and expires right in front of me. And it was one of those things, I guess it was bleed, for lack of a better word, where it was, I've certainly had those things happen in other games, but for whatever reason, I've been more, I don't want to say deeply invested in Philippe, but I've come to, play Philippe a little stronger than I played other characters, or at least get inside his head a little bit more than other characters, and probably because I've played him longer, I've kind of, we've got the feel of the game going on, so the campaign's going on, and I was really struck by like how much he reacted to that. For me, it was like, oh wow, that's weird. I wonder why she did that. But he kind of fell to his knees and he cried. It was kind of a weird. It was, I want to say touching, but it was an emotionally charged scene for the character, and I was kind of like floating above that, saying, man, that was really kind of heavy. And also, it stopped that instant normal musketeer. Here we are in full bore. Doing the musketeer thing. I'm looking for the right word. It's not coming to me. But all the swashbuckling. There you go. That's what we're doing, right? So, boom, I hit this brick wall. So we split the party. I'm sitting there just kind of watching the body. I go with the court physician as he's doing an examination. In the meantime, Briscoe and Jean-Marie go and interrogate these two other men who were clearly dressed up as musketeers, but were not musketeers. And it turns out they're servants in the Louvre, and their families have been taken hostage, and they were kind of forced to do this. So Jean-Marie, being a family man, feels something for them, and so we're gonna look out or investigate, who hired these people, and so we have to go to the Coq Sans Tête, which is a great name for a tavern of ill repute. So we end up going there, but at that point we split the party again. We all kind of re-engage together, but Briscoe stays behind and is investigating. Turns out like he ends investigating because this woman, her body has disappeared. In the meantime, Jean-Marie and I end up going to the Coq Sans Tête, and it actually, I'm thinking how many times Philippe kind of got stopped dead in his tracks because Jean-Marie goes and interrogates some people there, and questions them, aggressively. And Philippe is trying to drown his sorrows in wine, and some Cardinals guards insult him, and he's ready to go ahead and draw steel, or at least smash a bottle over a Cardinals guard's head. And Jean-Marie stops him, and says it just isn't worth it, and talks his way out of there, or talks our way out of there. In the meantime, something I'm probably getting the timeline a little bit wrong. One of the things that's really entertaining to me, as I'm watching, like I get to watch more scenes with Briscoe than interact with him. Briscoe is now in charge of other musketeers, and Briscoe, like it or not, I don't think his character really wants to be. I'm not even sure Francois wants him to be, but because he's so charismatic, even though he's kind of like this devil-may-care playboy, he is so good at leading other people. He is a leader of men. Jean-Marie is rising in rank in the Musketeers, and that's where Sebastian is choosing to put like his reputation points and experience points. But I don't think he wants to be a leader of men. He doesn't want to be a man of influence in there, at least in terms of leading other men. Briscoe, I'm sure he does not want to lead other men and wants as few ties or strings as possible, but he's so good at it. And of course, he was there and needed some backup, that he was entrusted with taking some other musketeers with him. I find this very comical because he's the guy, even after the session, I know I'm skipping around, but what the heck, because I really love these characters. After the session, we're talking about what we might spend experience on, and Francois is saying, well, I'd really like to get better with a sword. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you really should keep on dumping, and improving what you're really good at, your real shtick, because he is just a leader of men. So anyhow, I'm digressing a little bit there. But so then I run to another brick wall. I'm pretty much this impulsive youth ready to kind of just, floor it. Devil may care. he ends up having the brakes put on by Jean-Marie, and kind of acquiesces to that. He's got a duel he's got to go to, because I was informed I have a duel that early that morning, because we kind of started at night. So I go to the churchyard, and I sure, Anthony, I'm not drunken, but I've drank a good part of this bottle of wine over the last couple hours, so he's a little loud, he's a little boisterous. He's ready to just kind of have this duel. Jean-Marie is absolutely just not into this. We have discovered some information. We're going to go try to see if we can locate the members of this cult or whatever it is that's put these people up to it. Dressing up like musketeers and helping this other woman into the Louvre, because the Spanish are encroaching upon the country. There's actual real Spanish spies, and he's pretty sure that this is a Spanish spy. Has no idea this woman's body's disappeared, because this party's been split. I really dug that we split the party a couple times. And so I end up having this duel. It's a man that just spilled some wine on me at my favorite croissant shop and insulted me and challenged me to a duel. I go there, and I'm ready. And Jean-Marie is going to be my second. Martin was supposed to be my second, but he was summoned to go see the cardinal, and so that could last forever. He's probably having tea and crumpets. I asked Martin to be my second, or Jean-Marie to be my second. He is not into this at all. And he said, "Okay, well, I challenge you. Just end it in one move. Win the duel. Win our academy some renown, because I'm putting all of my resources, experience-wise, into the Renoir Academy and becoming better at that, or increasing my rank. And that's one of the neat things you can do with Ubiquity. So I'm increasing my rank in that. That has mechanical implications as well. I didn't realize I had to adjust some things on my sheet, because I should have been adding some more dice to my already ridiculous fencing pool. So that was great. So we're both members of the same salon, so we're having some discussion about that. And so I've got this dark and brooding. I just love the way Sebastian plays this guy. Dark and brooding Jean-Marie, who's just he's still made this vow to kill the loup-garou of Orléans, who killed his son, and he's just a tortured man. He really is. And this young brash kid who's just all about honor and trying to matter, and a little superficial, and just have a short fuse. Not really an angry young man, but just ready to just jump right into anything. And this man insulted me. We must have a duel. I'm a musketeer. So the second for this man turns out to be none other than Armand de Bourbon, or as I know him, young Pierre, from my solo adventure. So I'm completely shocked. We have this moment of, and so that's kind of like running into a brick wall again. But I shake it off, in character. I'm like, okay, well, Philippe can handle this. I didn't really think that, but that's just kind of what happened in my head. A lot of his it's probably the wrong word, because there was some definite bleeding out, bleeding in going in. But I'm not sure it's the right word, but a lot of his emotional reactions were kind of like emergent. I didn't expect some of them. That's just kind of who this character is now. And so sometimes I get a little floored by Philippe's reactions. And that's all throughout this recap. These moments where I slam into this brick wall emotionally, or just where the action happens, or stops, or changes, or takes a left turn, and my character's emotional reaction to it. That was the moment of wonder. It was amazing to live inside this other person's head and have them experience them having emotional reactions which were not my own. I mean, clearly I was having those emotional reactions in my head. I'm not crazy. But it was amazing to think, okay, well, if I played the games where these things have happened, okay, that really wouldn't faze me. And so it was odd. I wasn't thinking, what would Ivan think about the situation? It was Philippe, and it was not even a thought process. So it was amazing how automatic. Probably emergent is probably the wrong word, because that's really talking about complex systems and things, that emergent properties that come out that are greater than or different than the sum of their parts. But still, it felt a little bit like, where the heck did that come from? So I have this duel. I trounce this guy in one round easily. In the meantime, Jean-Marie actually sees an apparition of his son. It is actually, I believe it's like the All Hallows Eve, or that day. I believe that's when it was. So the dead are supposed to walk the earth. He actually takes a shot. Puts his head down, takes a shot. People like to shoot. Martin and Jean-Marie like to shoot in my general direction. It's amazing that Philippe never gets hit. Actually hits this guy again. Doesn't kill him, but the duel's over because he did not yield. And I tell the young Pierre to take care of his relative, because it's his relative, and we'll talk about this later. Then we have this, probably one of the coolest moments in the game, and it was a very tense moment in character, but I thought it was really cool, where Jean-Marie kind of chastises, and that's mild, Philippe, that there are things that are much more important than dueling and honor, and there's real dark things happening in Paris. And we are these lights in darkness. We stand between the world and the plots of Satan and the devil and all this stuff, and all you can think of is your honor, and there's more to life than that. And every time something happens, you don't need to charge head on. You can choose what battles you want to face. And it was kind of like a mentor chastising a student, and it felt that way. And like both Philippe and I were speechless. And once again, I understand it's all going on in my head, but Philippe was speechless. I mean, he kind of said one or two things, but he was mad, and I remember quipping, Anthony quipped back to me. He probably could have said some more. It'd be interesting to see if he talked back, but at that point, I don't believe Philippe had anything to say. He kind of, took what Jean-Marie said to heart, because he looks up to these guys. He really does, and so he's still kind of, he's slowly emerging out of just being the junior member of the group, even though he could probably, kick all their butts with a sword, except when Martin is magically enhanced. But he's slowly kind of becoming their equals, at least in his own mind, and maybe in their minds as well. But he still has that thing going on. So, and that's I wasn't having that conscious thought in my head, like, well, this is my logical progression. This is kind of what the character does now, which is really cool. So we were walking, and finally, Jean-Marie, asked me, and he talked to me, and I was pretty curt with him. He apologized and said, hey, you kind of remind me of my son, and just there's you're young, and there's things that you don't understand yet. And I forget exactly how the conversation went, but it was a cool role playing moment. It was a very tense and a Philippe emotional moment in both those cases, and it was that, like, it was hitting that brick wall. I was all pumped up. I just want to duel. This is great. And now this guy just kind of like just kills my musketeer fun. And so once again, I'd been flooring it, and boom, the swashbuckling was split. The kibosh was put on the swashbuckling. So 3, maybe 4 times, depending on how you look at it, with my reaction to young Pierre. So we reconvene with Briscourt. We kind of compare notes. We end up going down a well. We end up going to the White Horse, which has been an old place, which has already been burned down by musketeers in the past. We end up finding, obviously, some occultic activity there. We find the families of the people the servants that were impersonating musketeers that we initially interrogated and tied up, and there's some heinous ritual going on. We kind of hear stuff beforehand. There's a man who we don't recognize, who's clearly the ringleader of all this, and there's a woman, and it's the same woman that died. We know something kind of a crazy occult thing is going on. And Philippe was so taken with her, just her beauty, and just the her killing herself, the whole thing. He cut off a lock of her, her hair. He's really just kind of just completely, stunned or shocked by all this. So now he doesn't know what to make of it. But clearly, people are in trouble. This guy is already, he needs to be stopped. And Briscourt insults the heck out of him. It's one of these classic moments of just pure Briscourtdom. And so, go watch the video. It's a couple hours long, man. But it was just phenomenal. Just interrupting the ritual by insulting this guy's choreography and writing, and completely enraging the person. Well, he actually extinguishes all the lights, and we're not sure what to do. Jean-Marie rather, runs forward because he's right in front of the guy, tries to make an attack. Sinks into flesh. Realizes that he's hit presumably this guy, but the exhalations sound kind of female. Briscourt manages to get the light on. I'm yelling at this guy that he's a coward and a thief, which is kind of what I was insulted with before from the person that challenged me to a duel. And I'm ready. We're all ready to do some swashbuckling and fight this villain, And instead, the lights comes on. He's vanished, and the woman who's not in front of Martin is back on the floor, dead once again, and is decomposing before our very eyes. And we find all kinds of arcane stuff that's down there, and a book with our names in it, but and all kinds of other information about musketeers. So it could be links to the cardinal or who knows what. This is nefarious stuff going on, and the families are screaming for us to untie them, and we're like, just wait a minute, we're looking at some clues. So we were able to keep some levity in the game. It was a dark game, but there was levity throughout. It was a blast. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. It was a lot of fun to play, but once again, hit this brick wall, bam, and it was we only were left with clues for a deeper plot. But here again, once Philippe is ready to kind of run headlong, I know how to do this. Bad guy, I've got my sword. We'll save the day, or I can vanquish this guy, and that's all kind of taken away from him. So it felt like he constantly got the rug yanked from under him. I don't know if that was Anthony's intention or Sebastian's intention when he had this great role playing moment with me, but it felt like that over and over again. And then so it's interesting. It was this interesting juxtaposition between me having a good time as a player, really enjoying watching that happen, and having those moments of wonder, like, wow, really, it's really amazing how Philippe's having these emotional reactions to things. But in character, it was quite the roller coaster ride. But once again, probably role playing award goes to Sebastian, the Gnome Inquisitor, for just amazing portrayal of what's a really compelling character. I just love Jean-Marie. Dark, brooding, sucks the life out of you. Phenomenal, and still manages to be a great straight man and have these great quips, and good stuff. A great character to be involved with. I really enjoy seeing where that's going, or just playing with those guys, and with those characters. Philippe enjoys being with those characters, as crazy as that sounds. And of course, Briscoe is just Francois continually raises the bar, and it's just like you're not sure how he pulls it off. He's kind of a wizard with that character. But I recall him saying that there's a long time ago he wanted to play in a swashbuckling game, and he kind of came up with this little bit of an idea for this Heartbreaker character. So maybe he's had that simmering in his brain pan for a while. But that's my recap, and that's also my answer to that alternate question for RPG A Day 2017. So yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we're looking forward. I think Sebastian might run a solo adventure for Anthony. I think he might be doing that this round around. We'll see how it goes, and looking forward to I believe probably Sebastian running round 2, but that might take a little while depending on our schedules. So that's it. That's my recap video, and thanks for watching. And if you haven't backed that Kickstarter, I think Kickstarter might have ended. Maybe Satan's Kingdom, Satan's Playground, Satan's Kingdom, whatever the heck it is, all for one might have one more day left. Get in on that, and buy yourself some All for One Regime Diabolique. Great game, a lot of fun.